Hey guys, it's Leanne. Welcome to my YouTube channel if you are new here. If you're not new, then welcome back. So today's look I'd say is very beginner friendly because I've literally just focused on the base. All products used were cruelty free and some of them were even vegan, which is even better. So yeah, the look is quite full coverage, quite glowy, definitely full glam. So yeah, if you want to see how to achieve this look using all cruelty-free makeup products, then keep on watching. And also, if you haven't already subscribed, then please subscribe because that would help me out loads. And I will also leave my Instagram down below, so be sure to follow me. So the first product that I'm going to be going in with is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Primer, and I just like to put this on the forehead and centre of the face and just really rub it in so you know that the skin has actually absorbed the product before you apply foundation. So like you see, I only used one pump of that. So the foundation I'm going to be using today is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation, and I'm in the shade Golden Beige. Now the applicator looks like this, so it's just like got like a little spatula rather than a pump. I'm just going to apply this directly to the skin. What I'm going to be using is the Morphe M439 brush, and I'm just going to be stippling this into the skin. Now the first thing I'm actually noticing about this foundation is that it's got a very strong smell. You know, like some foundations, for example MAC Studio Fix, I feel like that smells a bit similar to this, like a bit plasticky or a bit rubbery. That's what this is smelling like, but the coverage is actually amazing. So I've got quite a bit of redness in my skin as well, especially here because the other day I picked so many blackheads, which I shouldn't have done, but I done it. So round here it's going to be a real test for this foundation to see if it can actually cover it up. But this foundation is so inexpensive and it's raved about. I've heard so many people talking about this foundation, and I know I am late to the party because they've just released an even newer one now. I'm not sure what the difference is between them, but this one came out just over a year ago, but they have just brought out a newer one. So there's some difference in the formula, I think, but I don't know what the difference is because I'm only just getting around to trying this on. So I'm just patting this into the skin. I'm not swiping or rubbing. Spatula gets quite a bit off, so I'm just gonna take off any excess because my forehead's quite small, so I won't need that much foundation to cover this area. Just gonna add a little tiny bit more just along the nose area and the cheeks, because I've got freckles on the nose and I'd quite like them to be covered up for this look. And I think so far so good. It's done quite a good job already. But yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a full coverage foundation.
So now what I'm going to do is just go back in with my Morphe M439 brush. Just pat over this extra layer of foundation.
What I always have to do, if I do my base with a brush, I always go over with a beauty blender just to make sure that, for example, sometimes if there's, you know, brush hair strokes in the foundation, a beauty blender will just give a more airbrushed finish. So today I'm going to be using the Sigma HD sponge, and I've actually found that using this side, the more curved side, is better for this job of blending in foundation, whereas this side, like see the angled sides, this is better for like more, it fits under the eye perfectly, or the side of the nose. So yeah, I'm just taking the curved side to blend over the foundation. I'm noticing creasing around the nose. The foundation is gathering around the nose, which is not the best look. So I'd say this foundation is quite a good everyday foundation because it doesn't look too heavy on the skin. So yeah, I'm just going to be going in now with my concealer. Today I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer Satin Finish in the shade Light Beige. So I'm quite excited to try this product because I've heard so much about it, and I've also heard that it's a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape. One thing that I have noticed is the applicator, so it's a doe foot applicator, that is quite similar to the Tarte Shape Tape in size, so they're both quite big compared to other concealers, so that is one similarity straight away. So what I like to do is just let the under eye concealer sit on the face for a while, because that way it will give a more full coverage.
A little bit on the nose, a little bit on the forehead.
So to blend in the edges of this concealer, I'm going to be taking a Peaches and Creams brush. The numbers have all worn off because I love it that much. But yeah, I'm going to be taking this to blend in my concealer. And again, I'll just go over with my Sigma HD sponge. Just realised that, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but there's quite a bit of a gap where I clearly did not apply foundation. So yeah, just above the eyebrows, a little bit of a gap, and in the centre. So I'm just going to be going back in with my sponge. I'm just pressing this into the skin. So now I'll just do the centre of the nose, and I'm sort of pinching this blender together so it goes a little bit thinner. And then the last area I'll be doing is just under the eyes, because I do need those to be the most full coverage because of obviously dark circles and eye bags. Now this Sigma HD sponge, I feel like it's picking up less product than a beauty blender. So that's one positive for this sponge. I normally use beauty blenders all the time, but I thought I'd switch it up a little bit. But yeah, I'm noticing that this sponge is definitely giving, like, not taking away half as much product as a beauty blender would. So if that's your pet peeve with a beauty blender, as it is mine sometimes, and this might just be your new best friend. And I've got to say that e.l.f. concealer is actually very, very, very full coverage. Now I know that here you can see I do have like a little line here, but I do always have that. This eye looks flawless and it's very full coverage. With this eye I do get that a lot. No concealer's ever actually covered that up. And bear in mind, I haven't actually used any colour corrector with this concealer. I haven't done that today and I'm still very impressed. And the only reason I didn't do that today was because obviously I just want to see what the e.l.f. concealer can do on its own, and I want to see if it lives up to the hype. And that's just with one layer. Normally with some concealers I'll go in again, feel comfortable enough to actually just set this now with powder. So I'm going to be going in with the Revolution Luxury Baking Powder in the shade Lace. So this is another drugstore product again. I'm going to be taking a small Real Technique setting brush, and I've tipped some of the lace powder into the lid, which is like tiny. So I'm just going to dip the brush in, tap off any excess, and then before I bake under the eye, I always set under the eye first. I'm going to go back in now and make sure that there is no creasing, because if we set while there's any lines under the eyes, then obviously you're going to be setting your makeup into these lines. So I'm just going to be setting now by just lightly pressing this baking powder under the eyes. And I always do that step twice before I bake. So just dipped in again. So now that under the eye is done, I'm just going to go straight in with skin products now. So what I'm going to do is just set underneath the nose. I'm just going around the nose area, because that was where before we could see the product gathering. So far as well, in terms of like cracking, you know, like sometimes where foundation will sit in the cracks and natural creases of your skin, that hasn't happened. So far this foundation is actually quite good. So yeah, I'm going to be going in to contour now, and I'm going to be taking the Spectrum A05 brush. So it's an angled brush, so that's actually a good shape to use when contouring. This foundation, what I will say is it actually still feels quite tacky, which is strange. So So I feel like this foundation might need setting all over the face. If the foundation's tacky, when you do put powder products on like bronzer, then they're more likely to go patchy because the foundation's not dry. But so far so good with this. It doesn't look patchy as far as I can see. I'm just going to take this now, just down the back of the cheekbone. And just a light dusting underneath the jawline. So one simple way to contour is, just as a general rule, this is not going to work for everyone's face, so is if you think of contour as like a number 3. So if you see that as like tracing out a number 3, then that could be a good way to remember it. But like I say, that's not going to work for everyone's face. That works quite well for my face, but obviously for someone with a very, very, very small forehead, that's not going to work out because maybe they won't need contour on the forehead. I'm going to be going in with blush now, and I'm going to be taking Holly Boone blush in the shade Feeling Peachy. It's just a nice matte blush, and I'm going to be using the Peaches and Creams PCO3 brush. This is literally my favourite brush for blush. So I'm just going to smile and very gently just dust this blush back the hairline. So in my opinion, blush just makes you look so much more healthier. And can we just appreciate how pigmented that blush is? And I'm just being very, very gentle when I'm doing the blusher. I'm not like dragging it or pressing it into the skin. I'm just sort of doing little flicking motions, and I'm blending it into the contour. As you can see, so it just goes contour, blush, they just go into one, which does make it appear more natural. So now I'm going to be taking the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit in the shade Sun Dipped. I'm going to be using this shade and this shade, the two lighter shades in the palette, so Summer and Moonstone. And I'm just going to be taking these two shades on a Spectrum brush. But unfortunately I don't know what this brush is because, like, again, when I love a product I really use it. So the numbers I've worn off the brush, so I'm sorry, but I got it in a Spectrum set and it'd be probably quite easy to find. So I'm just pressing this in to the palette now, and if you notice, I'm not angling the brush like this. I'm putting it to the, like, on the side, so it's like directly pressing on the skin. And for the nose contour, because I want this to be a really dewy look, I'm going to take a finger rather than a brush for the nose, because using a finger will give you more payoff than using a brush. Tapping off excess, and then I'm just pressing this on just above the cheekbone, and I'm blending this highlight up into the brow bone, because then at least you've got like a place to stop, rather than if you drag it right back, then I think it can just look like a big light beam, whereas this just naturally just curls up into the brow bone. And that is just like such a good tip for if you still want your contour to look quite natural, but still obviously blinding. And another thing that I'm actually doing with these highlighters is I'm actually dipping into both. So rather than just doing one and then another one, I'm actually just dipping into both, because no one's skin is one tone and it just looks a lot more flattering if you have different tones on the skin, in my opinion. So now for the real glow, I'm going to be topping this highlighter that I've just done with the Ofra Cosmetics mini highlighter in the shade Rodeo Drive. The mini was the only one that was available on Beauty Bay the other week, but I'm definitely going to be investing in the full size product. Blinding, but oh well. I honestly feel like when you do a very natural eye makeup like I've done today, the skin, you can hype the skin up a lot more than if you've got big dramatic eyes. You can still do whatever you want, there's no rules in makeup, but I feel like you can really go to work on the skin if the eyes are just like a bit more natural. It just looks a bit more effective and eye-catching. So what I'm going to do now, because I am aware that this highlighter is very blinding, I'm just going to take a clean beauty blender and I'm just going to dab over this highlight, and all that will do is just take away some of the product, because beauty blenders do soak up excess product. So that's what I'm doing now. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking the Fenty Beauty sponge. I've just tipped some of the Revolution powder just onto the Holly Boone blush. So all I'm doing, as you can see, is just like getting a full coat and then wiping off any excess. Then I'm just going to be carving out underneath the contour. Then all I'm going to do now is also bake under the eye. Got my Fenty sponge, and with the flat side I just dipped it into the powder, taking off excess, and then I'm just pressing this perfectly underneath the eye, and it really is like the perfect shape for this. So yeah, now that that's on, I'm going to be doing the lips today. So today I'm going to be using the Morphe Sweet Tea liner, and this is definitely a dupe for MAC Cosmetics Strip Down and Oak and any of their like brownie tones. But yeah, I'd definitely say it's definitely a really good dupe for Strip Down. And I'm going to be topping that with Jeffree Star Velour Liquid Lip in the shade Celebrity Skin, which is my favourite. So while this is baking, I'm just going to be going in and lining the lips. This is like my favourite part of makeup as well. I feel like even though makeup looks nice, everything looks fine, it just doesn't look done until you've added lips, especially lip liner. That's like my favourite. And a tip is always make sure that your lips are actually dry at the sides, especially when you are actually applying lip liner, because that is one way to smudge your lip liner if your lips aren't dry, and also to obviously make it come off a lot quicker. So I'm just going to be going in now with the Spectrum AO1 brush, so just a big fluffy brush, and that's just to dust away this powder. So I'm just dusting away in circular motions, and I'm only going very soft, going up and down, so there's not like a big sharp harsh line. And then I'm also doing circular motions, so same to the other side. I'm just going to tap off any excess powder that I picked up from the other side. So that just made the contour stand out so much more. Now to make the contour stand out even more, we can just go back in with a little bit of our contour, the same angled brush, and if you put the darkest contour at the back, so if you focus the majority of the product at the back towards the ear, that just looks so much more natural. So I'm really taking that product back to the hairline, almost like to the ears basically. So yeah, that's just like a good little tip for everyone. The most natural contour is when the darkest, like if you concentrate the product towards the back of the cheekbone, that will give you a more natural look. So I'm just sort of flicking off this product, but I'm also patting this into the skin. And the reason that I wanted to bake under the eyes again is because it just brightens it up a little bit and just makes it look that little bit more flawless. And what I'm doing is I'm just going over that lip line so it looks more natural. Rather than leave just the brown line and then this, I'm actually taking the wand and going right over the lip liner. So I'm just going to let that dry down a little bit. My nose still feels very tacky. The part where I've put powder that does not feel tacky, that's fine. But my actual nose, I don't know why, when I've actually set underneath, but like the sides of the nose where I haven't set, the foundation feels so tacky. So that's definitely something to watch out for if you do buy this foundation, which is not a problem, but just a little tip for everyone. So just going over with a little lip liner. So I've definitely messed up this side of the lip, most definitely. I don't know why I've messed up this lip, because I literally do my lip liner. That's like the most important makeup product to me, I swear to God. I do this lip liner every single day. So I don't know how this happens, but I'm going to show you how to correct it anyway. So I'm just adding a little bit more foundation. I'm going to be going back in with the Zoeva 144, just carving out the shape. so that was quite easy to fix. And then I'll just obviously blend away this foundation. And just make sure that it's fully pressed into the lips. And then all I'll do is obviously I'm gonna now have to redefine the lips. So I'll just go over. So last thing I'm gonna do is just take a little bit of setting powder, just set that extra layer of foundation. And even though I did make a mistake, that's just a good tip anyway, to once you have done lip liner, you can just carve out with foundation rather than concealer, because I feel like concealer's just well too light and it's such a giveaway on photos if you do carve out the lips with concealer. This is the second layer. All I need to do now is go in with my Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. And this spray, it does contain alcohol, so don't do it with eyes open. I know that sounds silly, but I've done that before. So all I'm going to be doing now is fanning my face now to make it dry and set. So now that that's done, I am just going to be taking a Zoeva 230 Luxe pencil brush, and I'm going to be dipping into the glow kit again, just literally pressing the brush down and sort of pressing it into the highlight. So I'm just placing it on the inner corner and then sort of just twirling it around once to make sure it's like pressed into the skin. So I'll do that twice. So that actually does make a difference, as you can see, compared to the other eye. So that was the finished and completed look. I hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.